In this video, we will take a neutral and analytical look at the most important developments. Over the past few hours and days, several unexpected changes have appeared on the ground, and we will break them down with a calm, structured, and fact-based approach. First, we will provide a short overview of the current military positioning, then move into the latest battlefield movements, and finally examine the broader strategic implications. Without any delay, let's begin the complete neutral assessment of the situation. Europe's approach toward the ongoing conflict has gradually shifted into a more stable and long-term posture. While the political landscapes inside various European states remain diverse and often complicated, the overall strategic outlook across the continent has become noticeably consistent. Decision makers are now aligning around a clear principle, supporting Ukraine through a structured, multi-phase framework rather than reacting impulsively to each battlefield development. This steady and predictable stance has significant implications not only for Ukraine's military strategy, but also for the broader geopolitical balance across the region. At the same time, Ukraine's operations in the Zaporizhzhia sector continue to evolve in a pattern that combines cautious probing with incremental pressure. This is a sector that has seen numerous tactical engagements, shifts in local control, and adjustments in defensive postures over the course of the conflict. What makes the Zaporizhzhia line particularly important is its strategic location. It serves as a connection point between different operational zones, and any shift here, whether big or small, naturally carries ripple effects across adjacent fronts. The pressure that appears to be building against certain defensive positions in this area is not the result of a single major breakthrough, but rather the accumulation of multiple smaller actions. These actions include reconnaissance operations, controlled advances, and efforts to test the resilience of fortified lines. Such approaches are becoming more common as Ukrainian commanders focus on shaping operations designed to gradually alter the tactical landscape without overextending their forces. These shaping operations play a vital role in preparing the ground for future maneuvers, whether offensive or defensive. On the opposite side, Russian forces continue to rely heavily on layered defensive systems that include trenches, anti-vehicle obstacles, pre-sighted artillery firing lines, and defensive strongpoints. These positions were developed to counter precisely the type of pressure Ukraine has been applying. However, even well-constructed defenses face challenges over time. Logistics become strained, rotation schedules become difficult to maintain, and the psychological burden on frontline personnel increases. These factors combine to create points of vulnerability, especially in zones where Ukrainian units maintain consistent pressure. Europe's stance influences these dynamics in ways that may not be immediately visible on the battlefield, but nonetheless shape the strategic environment. A steady flow of support, even if slow and bureaucratic, allows Ukraine to plan its operations with greater confidence. When political uncertainties diminish, operational planning becomes more precise and resources can be allocated with less hesitation. This contributes to a more coherent strategic rhythm, which is particularly important in sectors like Zaporizhzhia, where the margin for operational error is small. Furthermore, Europe's commitment signals to other international actors that the continent is not easily swayed by short-term developments or pressure campaigns. This sends a message about long-term stability, which in turn influences diplomatic negotiations, intelligence cooperation, and military support structures. These broader implications place additional pressure on Russia, as its strategic calculus must account for continued Western backing rather than expecting fatigue or division to emerge quickly. Turning back to the battlefield, the Zaporizhzhia line remains complex and fluid. While no dramatic shifts have been observed on a large scale, the overall pattern suggests a gradual tightening of tactical pressure. Ukrainian forces appear to be adjusting their tactics based on local conditions, leveraging mobility, small unit maneuvers, and controlled engagements to wear down specific defensive points. These efforts do not aim for immediate breakthroughs, but instead for progressive erosion of defensive capacity. In some areas, the pressure manifests as expanded gray zones, territories that are neither fully controlled by one side nor the other. Gray zones often emerge in areas where one side pulls back slightly to more defensible terrain, or where continuous engagement makes stable occupation difficult. These zones are strategically meaningful because they create uncertainty. Defending forces must dedicate resources to monitoring them, while attacking forces can use them as buffer areas for preparation. Russia's responses to these pressures appear focused on maintaining cohesion. This includes reinforcing certain sections of the defensive line, rotating units to reduce fatigue, and adjusting artillery patterns. These adjustments indicate an awareness of the evolving situation, though they also suggest that maintaining the current configuration demands continuous effort. Defensive warfare, while less resource-intensive in some respects, carries its own challenges. Lines must be held, logistics convoys must operate under threat, and reserve units must be positioned carefully to respond to emerging vulnerabilities. Europe's role in the wider conflict is not limited to military assistance. Economic, diplomatic, and intelligence cooperation all play crucial parts in shaping outcomes. Economic support enables Ukraine to maintain internal stability. Diplomatic efforts work to prevent escalation, and intelligence sharing enhances situational awareness. The combined effect of these components creates a stable strategic foundation that supports Ukraine's operational efforts. From a military analysis standpoint, one of the key factors shaping the Zaporizhzhia situation is timing. Operations in this sector often depend on seasonal conditions, levels of reinforcement, and broader strategic priorities. When conditions favor mobility, one side may attempt to initiate or expand operations. When conditions are less favorable, forces typically focus on consolidation, defensive improvements, or limited engagement. Ukraine's current approach appears aligned with an attempt to optimize timing while avoiding unnecessary risks. The pressure on Russian defenses in this area is therefore not a single isolated event, but part of a broader operational rhythm. This rhythm involves balancing reconnaissance, limited offensives, small unit rotations, and artillery shaping. Each of these components contributes to the cumulative effect of stressing defensive lines. Over time, even modest gains can force adjustments, and these adjustments may reveal new tactical opportunities. Strategically, Zaporizhzhia also carries a symbolic dimension. It is a sector where both sides have invested significant resources, making any shift, no matter how small, politically meaningful. Even perceived momentum can influence morale, negotiations, and public discourse. Therefore, maintaining pressure here serves both military and psychological purposes. Europe's firm stance further reinforces this strategic picture. By signaling long-term support, European states reduce uncertainty about Ukraine's ability to sustain operations. This has the effect of stabilizing Ukraine's strategic position even in periods of limited progress or tactical stalemate. For Russia, the implications are more complex. Long-term European commitment means that the conflict environment is unlikely to shift dramatically in Moscow's favor through external political changes alone. As the situation continues evolving, several broader questions emerge. How will both sides adjust to prolonged engagements? How will logistics affect operational capabilities? And how will political developments outside the battlefield shape decisions made on the ground? These questions do not have immediate answers, but they frame the underlying dynamics of the conflict. For now, the key takeaway is the combined effect of Europe's firm position and Ukraine's controlled pressure. The Zaporizhzhia defenses are not collapsing, but they are under measurable strain. Ukrainian forces are leveraging precision patience and incremental advances while Russian units are working to reinforce stability and maintain defensive integrity. The coming period is likely to bring continued adjustments. Whether logistics, reinforcements, and diplomatic developments all have the potential to influence the operational picture. What remains consistent, however, is Europe's steady stance, Ukraine's deliberate pressure, and Russia's efforts to hold a complex defensive line. Together, these elements define the evolving landscape of the Zaporizhzhia sector and the broader conflict environment surrounding it. Stay updated with the latest in military developments by following the Military Situation Room. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss our in-depth analyses and real-time updates.